Evening, everybody. Hello, hello. It is 8:30 on Monday, the 11th of November, and I'm pleased to be live with you all on Facebook and YouTube. So I can see that people are joining. So we'll wait for people to arrive and get settled in. Do say hello when you join. Let me know where you're joining from. Tell me something fun or something good about your day today. So I can see a few comments coming through already. For some reason, there's a glitch with StreamYard tonight. I can't actually see who's commenting on Facebook. I can see the comment. I just can't see who's commenting. So if I don't say your name or speak to you directly, please don't worry. It's just a little glitch in the system. So hi, Joanna. Thank you very much. That's very, very kind of you. She said congratulations on all of my achievements. It was a lovely, lovely surprise, a really pleasant surprise last week. A little bit of a shock as well, I won't lie. Lisa, good evening, my lovely. Nice to have you with us tonight. Tried to be a little bit organised this month. I don't know what's gone on. I set up all my live streams for this month, and I don't know what came over me. I don't know if it's going to work. Probably it will fail somewhere along the lines because it's technology, and I don't great with technology, but let's keep our fingers crossed that it works. So for those of you that are just joining, Stampin' Up announced all the recognition information last week for the last Stampin' Up year. So from October 2023 to September 2024. And I knew I'd had a good year. It's been my best year yet. I've been with Stampin' Up for 11 years. I knew it was a good year. And I was really, really excited to see all the recognition information. I've never been part of a group of people or an organisation where everyone's just so happy for one another and the women empower one another and everyone is just thrilled, or so it seems. Everyone is just really thrilled to see people being celebrated and rewarded and recognised for what they've achieved. So it was a really, really lovely evening. And I'm really proud to be part of an incredible group of demonstrators. So I was, all the rankings came in, and for the first time ever, I ranked in at number 3 for the UK. For those of you that do my classes, you know that number 3 is my favourite number. It's always my favourite card, always my favourite project. So to come in at number 3 was just incredible. So really, really pleased with that. Caroline, you've had a quiet day. I hope it was a good quiet day. So tonight I have promised you all a little bit of a demonstration around the sophisticated Sled bundle. It looks a little bit like this. This is the stamp set, and there are dies that coordinate with it. This set of products features in our online exclusives range. That's right, isn't it? Yeah, the online exclusives range. So they are not available in a catalogue. They are only available online. And just go to the Stampin' Up website, stampinup.co.uk, and you will find, just type in sophisticated Sled into the search engine and it will come up. I wasn't sure on this. I'm not going to lie. I saw it. I ummed and ahed. I waited and then saw hundreds of projects and loved it. So I ordered it. And I really, really enjoyed it being part of my winter retreat at the beginning of November. So projects went down really, really well, and I was really glad to have purchased it. So I'll walk you through what the products look like tonight. I'll have a little demonstration. We'll make a couple of things, and I hope that you enjoy it. As always, all of the products can be purchased online. If you go to the stampinup.uk website, you can search for myself, or you can go to staceymarsh.co.uk and shop online with me there. So however you wish to shop is wonderful. And if you have any comments or questions, do add them, and I'll try and follow along as I craft. I mentioned earlier, for those of you that are just joining, there is a little bit of a glitch in the system tonight. So I can see Facebook comments, but I can't see who's leaving them. So I'll try and keep an eye on the comments there. But please don't worry if I don't mention your name. Who knows what's happening? It's technology. I still don't understand it. So let's hop over to my desk and I will talk you through the products and we'll make a little start. Okay, fresh desk. I love a fresh desk. And my desk actually isn't too crazy at the moment, which is nice. So this is, oh, Mandy, love the Sled bundle. I do as well. I've really fallen in love with it. So this is the stamp set. It is a photopolymer stamp set, so they are the clear stamps. We have some really nice images. We have a sled, we have a wreath, we have a, I don't know what the technical term for that is. I had one last year. It was a door hanging. There are some skates and there's some snowflakes. And I think, is that a cardinal bird? I think that's what you call it. I'm by no means a bird expert. And then we have some sentiments that are really nice. I hope your days are filled with fun and laughter. Yay all the way. Good tidings. Let it snow and let's decorate the season with happiness. So some really, really pretty, delicate sentiments, I would say. And I love the mix of fonts on those as well. Now the dies, I'm not going to lie, the dies for me, I would rather have the dies than I would the stamp set. I have really, really loved using these dies. So let me open these up. So you have some sled dies. You have an outline sled that is designed to go around the image. You have a detailed sled, so you don't need to do any stamping at all if you don't want to. Then we have the wood part of the sled. So let me show you a card that I made for my retreat, and this was on my blog last week. So this is one of my retreat cards. So you can see underneath you've got the silver element, and that is the sled frame, so this inner piece. And then we have the wood element, which is this die here. Then we have some ice skates, and with the ice skates you have the ice skates on their own, you have the blades for the skates, and you have the laces. So there really are a skate builder die, really, really fun. You then have the outline die to go around the skates and the cardinal, the door hanger and the wreath. And then last but not least, we have this really nice foliage die. That's what I'm calling it. So a fabulous set of dies. And with this, you can definitely get away with just purchasing the dies if you wanted to. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to really utilize the outline dies, but if you were going to choose between them, I would choose the dies over the stamp set, but that's just me personally. So here are two cards I made earlier. These are what I made for the retreat. So here we have the sled, and again I've just used the dies to build the sled and the skates, and then I've created a night sky in the background for that. With the blades on the skates, I've used some silver foil cards. You can just see that shimmering ever so slightly. And then here, I was really pleased with this. I came up with this all by myself. I was really excited. I've used the Sled die to create a window. How clever is that? Doesn't happen very often, but occasionally we have a little light bulb moment. And I really loved this. I thought it went down really, really nicely. I've used it with a background of garden green, ink and card, and I've embossed that background. So it looks a bit oldie worldy. But I do very much feel like with this set, I want to use crumb cake all the time. And actually the colours that I've chosen to use with you tonight, crumb cake is in there. So the colours that I've grabbed off my shelf, I've grabbed some white, I've grabbed some pool party, I've grabbed some garden green, I've grabbed some crumb cake, and I've got cherry cobbler. So I would say a very traditional colour combination, but I like it. And then this product, I'll get this bit in now so that I can put it to one side and clear my desk. This product I'm actually using as the focus of my next sampler frame class. So I love, love, love a home decor piece. And I have done sampler frames for a number of years now. They are always one of my favourite projects to design. And I tend to do one every single catalogue release. So although this item isn't in the mini catalogue, it really, really spoke to me. So this is my sampler frame class. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek and you can see my lights. So that class, I'm not going to show you in detail because I am a sneaky person like that. But the idea is we're going to use this bundle to create the sampler frame that you can use in your craft room, in your home, or you can give it as a gift. So everything that you need is provided, all your die cut pieces, all your embossed layers, your designer series paper, that's all included in your kit. All you need to do is add your stamped images. So if you're interested in taking part in that class, you can find information on my website. Mandy, it is, yes, my lovely. If you go to my website, staceymarsh.co.uk, there is a class section, class tab. Click on that and it's all the information is there. So there's different ways you can book. You can book with just the kit. You can buy the PDF. You can add in product. You can not add in product. There's lots of different options, but booking for that closes on the 18th, and I really enjoyed making it, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you all. The class will go out live. It'll be streamed live on YouTube. For those that have joined, will be able to see it. So if you're not available at that time, don't worry, you'll just be able to watch the replay back. And alongside that online video, you will have access to a measurement guide, so you can cut all your pieces and bits and pieces beforehand. So that is my class. That's out of the way. Lovely. So I look forward to seeing lots of you joining that. I've also grabbed, now I ordered this paper and I haven't really used it, and I found it earlier when I was putting some bits away. It is the Take a Bow designer series paper, and it's a really festive set, and I just thought let's grab it and see what happens. We may not use it. So that is what I have grabbed for tonight, and I think I'm going to start with a little bit of stamping for a change. So I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. I'm going to stamp some of these images. Actually, I think I'm going to stamp all of them. So let's see where this takes us. Evening, I can see someone's just popped a comment on Facebook. Let's pull all of these stamps out. Do let me know if you've got this in your basket, or if it's something that you've not seen, or if it's something you're lusting after. Let me know in the comments. I had a really good tidy up in here the other day, and I must admit I now can't really find any things. Isn't that always the way? I had a little move around and I definitely can't find things. So I'm going to stamp these images in Memento, because if I did want to colour them in, I'm going to use blends. So we always want to use a Memento ink pad if we're using alcohol markers. So let's get this stamped. Now this is the first time I've inked this stamp, so we may need to stamp it a few times. Sometimes that can happen with a photopolymer stamp. What it does is when after the manufacturing process has happened, it can kind of leave a bit of a residue on your stamp. Now I quite like that. It feels a little bit distressed, which is kind of the look that I want to go for. But if you have that and your photopolymer stamps don't stamp perfectly first time, just take a rubber and just lightly rub across the stamp, and you're just getting rid of that manufacturing residue. Okay, and then it will stamp perfectly. So these are the ones I've used, so we are good to go with these ones. Hi Deborah, nice to have you with us. She said she loves this set. That's really good to know. Let's do the ice skates as well. And then I want a little hanger. Cute little cardinal. Let's have a couple of those. He may feature as a little bit of an embellishment. So there we have our boots, our wreath, our hanger, and our sled. So I'm going to grab some blends and we'll do a little bit of colouring. So of course I'm going to grab crumb cake, and I'm also going to grab pecan pie, because that is a really lovely colour combination when you're trying to create a wood sort of effect. So I'm going to start with my light crumb cake, and I'm going to go over the sled just really lightly. I'm not being too careful with my colouring, because at this stage I just want to get the colour onto the paper. And then I'm going to use my dark shade. Is this my dark shade? It is. Dark crumb cake. And I want to add in a little bit of sort of shading. So I'm using the fine tip edge. And what I'm doing is my pen strokes are all going in the same direction. Okay. I tend to find when I'm using markers, by having your strokes all in the same direction, it just adds a little bit of consistency, and you don't really get a sort of what I would call just an uneven texture. You know, when you're using a colouring pencil and if you go in all different directions, you almost get this texture in your colouring that can make it look a bit uneven. I find I get the same thing with these blends. So I'm just making sure all my strokes are going in the same direction. Okay. So that's just giving it a little bit of definition, and you can see that you've got some tone starting to happen. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my pecan pie, and we don't often use different colours, but why not? I recently watched Patty Bennett, one of our demonstrators from the United States, just do a colouring video. And she used all the colours. She mixed and matched, and wow, the results that she got were just amazing. And I did have a think midway through, why don't we use the mix the colours? And for me, I think it's because I don't mix, you know, when you're doing crafting with the kids, I don't mix, well, my girls aren't allowed Play-Doh, but I don't mix that sort of thing. I don't encourage them to mix colours. So I just think in my head, let's not mix the colours. But actually it really worked, and you can get some really beautiful end results. So you can see that now that's starting to look really quite distressed. And what I like about this video is I'm looking at it quite closely. So for me, it's knowing when to stop. But if I look at the screen, I've got my computer next to me. If I look at the screen, actually I get a sort of further away view. I quite like it. You just need to know when to stop. So I'm just dragging that darker colour down, sort of towards the centre. There we go. And I quite like that. I think that looks really good. So you've got some crossbars here. So I'm just going to take a darker colour, and I'm going to use quite a dark shade. I'm going to use one of the skin tone blends. This is SU100. And this is just going to go in these bars in here. I'm going to use the thin one. I could probably get away with using black, actually, because the frame on this sled is black. And this is what I mean. I know I said at the beginning I tend to want to use crumb cake, but I think crumb cake just looks so good. So that's my sled. I'm going to leave that. I know when to stop. I'm going to park that. Now the boots. I'm also going to do the boots crumb cake, but I'm going to do them really quite light. Okay. Again, I'm just being a little bit delicate with my colouring. Okay, and then I'm going to use my favourite tool, which is the colour lifter. Colour lifter is your best friend when you're using blends, especially if you want to create a really light wash of colour. Okay, just going to use a little bit of dark crumb cake kind of in the top. Okay. And go back over with my colour lifter. And it does exactly what it says on the tin. It just lifts some of that colour out, and just you can use it to blend. It's really, really effective. So let me just lift that up, and you'll be able to see that in a bit more detail. Hang on, I'm just going to make my camera there. So my boots are now a little bit weathered, and you can see that colouring of that sled. Let's now refocus. There we go. Now we've got the wreath and we've got the cardinal. So the wreath, we're going to go in with some, let's do Mossy Meadow. Let's go dark, shall we? So the wreath, I am going to just use the light Mossy Meadow pen. And this is what I would call is just regular colouring. I'm not doing anything fancy here. I'm just colouring. I'll see more comments. Congratulations on results and Artisan. Thank you very much. I'm very, very excited about Artisan. We've actually today started to have some of our training, and it's just so exciting. It's amazing to be part of a really, really talented group of people. And I'm really excited to get stuck in. And a little bit nervous. I think when you've wanted something for such a long time, you just want to do a good job, or I know I do. So you almost have that moment of, oh my gosh, what have I signed up for? But it will all be amazing. So well deserved. Thank you, whoever said that. Mandy and Joanna have said nice colouring. I'm now just going in with a darker tone. I want to get a little bit of different colours into this wreath. So I'm just mixing my greens. And there's all different shaped sort of leaves in this wreath. So you really could add lots of different green shades in if you wanted to. Okay, there's that. Let's have some red. Let's have some cherry cobbler for the berries. And you can't really see this too well at the moment because the camera is quite a distance away, but I promise you it will be worth it. I'm just colouring in my berries with dark cherry cobbler, like so. And then up here, we've got some berries on this hanger. So I'm just going to colour in all the berries. And then we want our leaves as well. I was quite overwhelmed, so I nipped to the shops earlier. And I was quite overwhelmed by suddenly Christmas is everywhere. I haven't been to the shops probably since just before Halloween. And I just couldn't believe it. I went into Marks and Spencer's and all the sparkly clothes were out. There were tins of biscuits everywhere. It's amazing how Christmas just seems to appear, doesn't it? It just creeps up on you and then it's everywhere. We don't tend to get started on Christmas too early here because it's my youngest birthday at the end of November, and it just doesn't feel right to start thinking about Christmas until she's had her birthday. It's also a really good excuse if I'm running behind or I feel like I'm not prepared. Well, we've had Emily's birthday, so that's my excuse. I'm sticking with it. Mr. Leaf there. Now the bow on this, wrong end. I'm going to actually colour in crumb cake. So we're keeping with that colour theme. Just realised this is dark that I'm using. It's okay, we'll work it out. Let's have a little bit of pecan pie. It has appeared overnight. All the little Christmas elves have been out working in the shops. And I don't know if I like it. Okay, so we just have our little cardinal to do. I'm going to grab a real red. Let's grab a real red. Cardinals are red, aren't they? You haven't made that up. This is light real red. Let's do a little bit of dark cherry cobbler. That's it. Okay, so those are all my images coloured in. And I've used pecan pie, crumb cake, mossy meadow, SU 100, cherry cobbler, and real red as my colours. I'm going to pop that on my blog afterwards so you can see. I've just missed out on the skates. So I'm just going to take a light smoky slate. And I'm colouring in these skates. I'm not worrying too much about any tone or shading on those. It'd be really nice to put a little bit of Wink of Stella on all of those. That would be really, really lovely. So let's now cut these out and then we can use them on our card. I'm going to mix and match, I think, dies with stamped images on tonight's projects. So let's line this up. Now this is a really fun one to line up. Yeah, like that. Just realised I need to trim this down or I'm never going to get it through my cutting machine. And there I've got some scrap for my scrap box. Right, let's get my skates die on. I said let's get my skates on. Yes, I always like to add a little bit of washi tape to my dies. Just going to bring the die machine in. Okay, and let's run these through. I always feel really pleased with myself when I manage to get all the dies cut at once. I just think it's a bit of an achievement. And my skate, my sled, and my wreath, and then now I've got my hanger. Oh, I forgot my little cardinal. There it is. little cardinal. One roll through the machine. It's like, I know, I feel almost like Superwoman when that happens. Sometimes I feel like I spend my life die cutting, especially for all kits and things. So these are all my images now cut. Now, whilst I've got the die machine here, I am going to cut some other little pieces to keep us all going. So let me just grab some scraps out of my scraps box. So tell me, this is always a really interesting debate or can of worms to open. How do you store your scraps? Do you have them all in a box? Do you have them in folders? Do you have everything divided by colours? Tell me, tell me, tell me. So I've got a wooden sled, crumb cake, of course. I want some cherry cobbler. I'm going to do a cherry cobbler sled frame. Oh, thank you very much, whoever has just said congratulations. So mine are stored in folders and divided into 4 colour families, plus current in colours and retired colours. That sounds mega organised. Lisa's put hers in a box with dividers for each colour, like that. Deborah, I keep mine in stationary 5-drawer tray divided into colours. What, so all the reds together, the pinks together, the blues together, that sort of way. And then in a popper wallets, 1 for coloured and 1 for black, white and vanilla. That's very good. Right, so let's have a little think. I've got some papers here that I think I want to use. So I've got all my die cut pieces. I will die cut some foliage and some skates at some point. But right now, let's have a think about our card. So these are the papers that I chose. And actually, they're quite bright. So let's have a think about this. I do quite like this green one here. I'm going to just grab a scrap of this. So let's take this. So the front of my card is going to be, let's use this green. I love green at the moment. It's definitely that time of year. So I am going to score at 10.5. Divided into a plastic case. I store my scraps in with the cardstock in an oversized A4 job ticket holder. Sounds interesting. Okay. So I have my card front. Now this on the front is going to be quite bright. Look, really, really bright. So let's tone that down a little bit. So let's cut it so that it is just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to cut mine so that it is 9.5 centimeters wide and by 13.9. So that is exactly 1 centimeter smaller than my card front. But it looks really busy, doesn't it? So I'm going to tone it down and I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending. So I have Mossy Meadow here. Mossy Meadow is my favourite Christmas green at the moment, although I do like garden green as well. And I'm going to darken this a little bit by going around it with my blending brush. So this is going to take some of that brightness away so that you can see it already. I'm going to go around the edge. I want there to be sort of a highlighted section in the middle. So that's looking much, much better. Never be afraid to alter your DSP to make it fit your colour palette. Obviously that's not possible with all pattern papers, but with some of them you really can alter them. So I am putting a fair amount of pressure on this brush because I want it to be fairly dark. There we go. So that now looks much, much better on there, I think. This was the original colour, and this is what it now looks like. So quite a difference. Now I'm just going to grab something out of my tool bag. And I've realised what I don't like about the stamped Sled. Don't like this big white panel in the middle, so we're going to cut that out. So here I've got my take your pick crafters tips, and in here should be, although it isn't in there, my craft knife. So where would that be? Let me just check. It might be in my drawer. I love it when things get put away. Yes, it is. It is in my drawer. You know, you have a drawer with just bits and bobs. It was in there, so that was lovely. If you don't have one of these tools, I would recommend it. So this is a take your pick tool, and it comes with lots of different attachments. You can buy some of these attachments separately. The attachment I want to use is my craft knife. So I want to get rid of all that white. So I'm just using a paper mat underneath so that I'm not damaging my desk and keeping my fingers well away from the blade. And I think this is going to hopefully transform this image. Yeah, I already love it better. So much better. You have two take your pick tools. Oh, you have three. Wow, Joanna, you're lucky. I have two because I use them in my classes. But they are really, really handy. And it just makes sense that it's one tool with lots of different attachments rather than having lots of different tools in your stash. Now here, I'm just going to slide that across all of those. I'm not going to bother with the detail as such. Just is elevating this image, I think. It just feels a little bit unfinished. I think if I was mounting it onto a white card, I wouldn't be so worried. But because it's going onto a dark background, I feel like this is just going to finish it off. There. Much better. Prefer that. Okay. So now let's have a think. Oh, let's put the lid back on so I don't end up chopping my fingers off. Let's take this. And I'm going to put that on my card front. Stick it down. I had this the other day called green glue. And when I heard the demonstrator say it, I thought, what's she talking about? And then it occurred to me it's because the bottle's green. So, game changer. It's much easier to say than multi-purpose liquid glue. Okay, so we have that and that now. I feel like it needs a little bit of detail on it. So I'm going to take some cherry cobbler card. And I want to create a little banner across the front of it. So I'm just going to cut a 2 centimetre strip across the front. I may not like this in a minute. We'll see. Oh, I think I do like that. That's quite nice. It's just lifted it a little bit. So let's stick that down. Well, let's trim it down to the right size first. Let's go down to 10.5 centimetres. And let's stick this across the card. Now it's 9:15 and I'm only on card number 1. I hope you're all in for the long haul. So there we have. Do I put it on like that or do I put it on an angle? What do you reckon? I think I like it at an angle. But it also looks nice up like that. Now I'm going to hang my boots from it. So I feel like at an angle works. Sorry, upright works. If we were to hang it like that, they would need to hang. Oh, Nanai Anne, thanks for joining us. So you've all said you like the angle. But I like it like that with the boots hanging from it. Nope, let's do it at an angle. So let's put this on with some pads. I'm going to use some of these black Stampin' dimensionals because the card is quite dark and some of these bits are quite fiddly. Don't want to run the risk of seeing any little stray bits. See, that looks good too. See, what do I do? Let's take my backs off. So let's put this on. I'm going to take it over to one side so I've got room for my sentiment. Okay. At an angle, don't do them all the same. Okay. Yes, boss. Let's put some more pads on these. So we have that like that. Now we need some foliage. So I'm going to cut a few of these, and I was going to cut them from Mossy Meadow, and I think I am. So let's cut some of these. And let's go for 2, shall we? You're okay. It's fine. This is a team effort. I had all good intentions tonight to craft in a clean space, and those intentions have gone right out the window. Let's take these. Now I probably should have stuck this foliage on first. So I've just managed to lift that slightly. I'm just going to pop out my pieces. And stick this down. So this is just going to go underneath where my skates are stuck. Oh, I wish we still had Evening Evergreen. Yes, we were only talking about that the other day as well. I think we were talking about that at the retreat, and I totally agree. I miss Evening Evergreen so much. It was such a versatile and good colour to use, wasn't it? Now, that's just going to take that away. So I've got a little cardinal here that I might just stick somewhere, but we'll deal with that in a minute. So we need a sentiment, and my sentiment feels like it needs to be on crumb cake. So I grabbed earlier the new Happy Hibiscus dies, and it's got this really nice circle in it. So I'm just going to cut one of those. I will take a picture of my desk afterwards and pop it in the comments. I loved the Evening Evergreen, but then my favourite colour is green. I love green as well, especially at this time of year. I'm definitely more of a green Christmas crafter than a red Christmas crafter. So now we have our sentiment. I'm just thinking about, do I stamp this sentiment in a dark brown? I think a dark brown would be nice. So in the stamp set, the sentiments we have are: let it snow, good tidings, I hope your days are filled with fun and laughter, let's decorate the season with happiness. Now that isn't going to fit in my circle, is it? So I didn't really think that through. Let's use the circle on the next card. So let's just do good tidings. I feel like that's a really simple sentiment, does what it says on the tin, and that's what we need today. So I'm going to take my crumb cake, and I just want to cut this into a little strip, a little banner. So I'm just popping that in down the edge. That's really bad stamping, Stacey. I've moved my stamp. Much nicer. Okay, so we've got good tidings down the bottom. And let's set that. Okay, that's actually quite nice on there. I like that. Let's stick that across there. There we go. Now to finish it off, I have a think here. In my little embellishment pot, I did have some red dots. Now Emily has been out here, so who knows if they're still going to actually be in here. Yes, they are. There they are. So these are cherry cobbler and pearl adhesive backed berries. These are really good for using with some of our holly dies, but there are some really nice little red single dots. So I'm just going to put those on the foliage so it looks like there's berries on my foliage. Okay, so that's the outside of my card. That's only taken me a little while to make. So let's pop a little insert inside, and then there's one more that we can make. So that measured 9.5 by 13.9. See, I can remember that bit. Now this next bit shouldn't take too long, she says, but who knows? It's all part of the fun, isn't it? You're not doing anything else tonight. There we go. So that's the first card. I hope it was worth the wait. Now, let's do something ever so slightly different with the next card. And I'm going to use Pool Party as my main colour for this next one. Pool Party, Crumb Cake and white. So I have my, oh, and of course some, what am I calling it? What am I talking about? I am cherry cobbler, that's it. Because we've already cut the frame. So let's cut myself a little card base. This is going to be 14.9. And then we'll store at 10.5. Let's have a layer of white. What white have I got up here? No, it's more. And I'm going to do a little strip of white across the middle. So let's go 7 centimetres by 10.5. That's fine. I'm going to pop that across there. Now, in the stamp set, there was a snowflake die. So this one here. So let's do a little bit of stamping in our background. So I'm going to stamp with Pool Party ink. Oh, good question, Joanna. Has my fairy friend left the building? So I'll give you a little bit of context for those of you that are new or haven't a clue what I'm talking about. So I am in the bottom of the garden. I'm in a little purpose-built cabin that I call the barn. And it's been here for about 10 years, I would say. I believe it's been here that long. And recently, we've never had any problems. We've had a little problem with damp, but that got cleared up quite quickly, quite well. And then we had a little bit of a problem the other week where I was out here with you guys and all I could hear was, and it was getting louder and louder and louder. I'm going to put that there and make a couple of little lines. I want to do some blending along that line. It got louder and louder and louder, and we discovered that we had some fairy visitors in a cupboard at the end of the barn, so in the corner. So we put some traps down and they didn't really notice them, shall we say. And then we've not had anything out here for, I don't know, about a week or so. And then we opened the cupboard door and there's a new hole. And some of the bait that we put down has gone. We filled some of the old holes that they'd chewed through with some wire wool, but they've chewed through another area. So my lovely husband has got the job of dealing with that this weekend. Lucky him. So he's definitely back. But the other day, if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen, if you were online that day, I put up a story and it was of our dog. I've got a miniature Dachshund called David. And I put up a story. He came out here and he's not really been interested in the cupboard or anything like that. He came out here and he was obsessed with a certain part of my office, a part where the rat was nowhere near. So we think that perhaps either we have a little community underneath or we have a dead rat situation. So again, husband will deal with that this weekend. Lucky him. Oh, I'm loving the red on the blue. Now, let's cut another little base out. I'm going to cut this base out for the sled. So thank you for asking. You don't want to hurt them, do you? You know, we're not the sort of people that would go around and, you know, hurt them on purpose, but it's not the most pleasant of things. And Yes, it is like Wind in the Willows. It really is, but not in a good way. So now I'm going to mount this onto here. Look. What do we think? Or do I put that on like that? So I've got that bit, this bit and this bit. So the idea is that bit goes across there, and this piece goes down there. So I actually don't like that bit. I just like this base bit. I'm going to just darken this a little bit. So I'm just going to use another blending brush. Honestly, if you don't have any blending brushes, I can thoroughly recommend them. They just really elevate your projects. So I'm just doing what I did really with the original piece that I coloured in, just darkening up an area of it. So this piece is going to go down here, and it's got these little holes on that I use to line up with the cross sections. Oh, and these bits here are quite stubborn. No, definitely not. I don't want to leave them alone. I'm worried that there's poison down and other animals, but it's just horrible. I don't want the dog to pick anything up. I mean, we've been really, really careful with it, but you just never know. And the dog is an absolute nightmare. He is so naughty. He's into everything. Anything he shouldn't have, he has. So now I'm just going to add a little bit across here and here and here for this. So let's just lay that on, make sure it's stuck. And then this piece at the top is going across there. Now, I really, really like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few little dimensionals. I'm going to use these black dimensionals again underneath these sort of hidden areas. I'm loving this colour combination. Really, really nice. So now on here, I've got a wreath that I can put on, or I can put on a hanger. I think I quite like the wreath actually, but we need a bit more foliage. So let's cut some of that. Foliage is key. I'm really loving how these products all layer up together. You can get some really good layers of different things going on, different colours, and it's just really, really nice. This would also really work on a scrapbook page as well. So all you scrapbook lovers out there. There we go. So let's do what we did before. Let's pop these pieces out. Great colours. Yeah, I really like these colours as well. So this is Pool Party, Cherry Cobbler, White, Crumb Cake, and this green is Mossy Meadow. I'm going to do 2 because why not? Right, so let's work out which way up we want this to be. Let's do it like that and then put this pad down there. Now what would look really nice on this would be some Wink of Stella on those berries. Okay, so I have that now. I'm going to take some, I've got some twine here. I'm going to take some, I've got green, or I've got linen thread, or I've got gold. Gold might be nice. Let's do gold. So this is some gold thread. I'm just going to tie me a little bow. I think this is out of a kit. The kits, you always get more than you need in the kits. So they're really good to keep hold of. And let's pop that on with a glue dot. Someone has had my glue dots. Then I haven't. I'm lying underneath something. So I've just popped the centre of that bow on a glue dot. And then now that's easy to put on my card. So I have that like that so far. And now we want to put a sentiment on. Now I did originally cut this, but it now feels a bit too crumb cakey overload. So let's just have a little drink. Sandra loves a bit of Wink of Stella. I do as well. Okay. So let's have a look at our symbols. I hope your days are filled with fun and laughter. Let's see which one. Yeah, I'm going to do that one. Now, I would like some black card for some heat embossing. Don't know if I have this, but okay, so in the Happy Hibiscus dies, which is a new set of dies, we have this really lovely banner. So you'll see me use these dies next week. I'm going to demonstrate these next Monday evening. They're one of the new online exclusives products that are very, very nice. And it's this really nice banner. So let's see, is that going to fit in there? Yeah, it should do. So what I'm going to do is I always like to stamp first. Don't like to die cut because I probably will get it wrong. So I like to stamp first. So where's my embossing pieces? Okay. So your trick when you are embossing, especially if you're embossing onto a dark piece of card, you want to give it a really nice wipe over with an embossing buddy. And the embossing buddy comes as part of the embossing toolkit that you can purchase. And what the embossing buddy does is it takes away all the static that you may have on your card. It's invisible, you can't see it, you don't know it's there until you do your embossing, and it all goes a bit wrong. So embossing buddies are your best friend when you are embossing. So I've stamped with Versamark, which is your sticky ink pad. And and then dipping it in my embossing powder, and I'm just tapping off any excess. Now, embossing powders come in a really, really small tub. The best thing you can do with your embossing powder is to put it in a bigger container. Okay. Grab my heat tool now. And it's not switched on. Let me just switch it on. Better. So now we're going to heat it. And sometimes, quite often I'm asked, how do you know when it's set? And the answer kind of is, you know when you know. But basically, it's set when it's really, really shiny. So at the moment, it looks quite dull. It looks quite grainy. But when it's set, it's shiny, it looks solid, and it's really, really bright. So you want to keep your heat tool still. None of this. Don't do it. You're moving hot air around cold air, and you don't need to do it. So just keep everything still. And when you see it start to change colour, just move it along slowly. I'm holding it quite close to my card. I've probably got it about an inch away from my card. And I'm just moving it along until all of it is set. Okay. So that looks good to me. Oh, just got my first embossing pad. Honestly, you will love it. Embossing is one of my favourite techniques. You will not look back, but just practice. Practice, practice, practice. So I want some tape. So what I like doing about the stamping first before you do your cutting, you can then, especially with a die like this where you can see it has a window for you to see through, you can line it up with your stamping and make sure you've got it straight. The most annoying thing in the world, one of them, is when you stamp something, especially with heat emboss, it's come out really, really well. Oh, sorry, when you die cut something first, then you do your die cutting. Sorry, then you do your heat embossing, and it comes out wonky. You've then got to do the whole thing again. So I find to do it this way just gives you a little bit more control. It's tried and tested. And trust me, I learned that the hard way. I love the magic. Yeah, my girls think it's magic, actually. That and regular embossing, they just think it's magic. So this is a really nice little die. It's a little banner. It's got a little bit of stitching down either end, down both ends. And then now when we put that on, I think that just transforms that card. The pop of black and white, I just love it. It's exactly what I was hoping for. So now let's pop that on a little pad. I'm going to put 2 under there. And then I'm going to put a little bit of wet glue over here. And just sit that under it. Lovely. Now I've got my little cardinal to finish it off, and I feel like I'm going to put him just there. So let's do just that. And that is my second card. I just need to put a little insert in the middle. So let's do that. Really pleased with that. Let's trim this down. I'm going to do the same measurement, so 9.5 by 13.9. And just draw a little black line around the edge. I love a little black line. I think it just lifts things ever so slightly. And we can stick that in now. I haven't actually added any embellishments to that card. I usually put a few little gems on, but I'm just going to leave it, I think. I could actually put some gems in there. So, oh, this would be good. So here we have the trio of gems. Let's use those. Oh, perfect, actually. Lovely. That's really lifted it, actually. It's really just finished it off. Okay. So there we have the two finished cards. We've got two very, very different looks. One is using predominantly the stamped images. One is using a combination of both. Very different colours. And I'm really, really pleased with them. I'm really glad I cut that middle of that sled out. I think that's just a little bit of detail that's finished that off, brought that together really, really nicely. I love the blended background on that patterned paper because it's just muted everything. I think if I'd used this, it would have been a little bit too busy. And this one, I just love that little pop that the black and white brings and marries everything together. So I will leave you all there. Thank you so much for spending an hour and 15 minutes of your Monday night with me. I really appreciate your time. I hope you perhaps learned a couple of things. I hope that you've seen a colour combination that you might like to try at home. If you were interested in purchasing these products, you can do that from my online store, and that's staceymarsh.co.uk. Or you could, by all means, join my winter sampler frame class. If you missed the sneak peek, go back to the beginning. It's worth it. A few little comments to finish. Mandy's put, I may be a green girl, but I love this card. Pool Party and a Pop of Red is a marriage made in heaven. It is. I also love Pool Party and Poppy Parade. It's just wonderful, especially if it's a little snowy background. Joanna's put beautiful cards. Love them both. Lisa's put gorgeous. Deborah's put wonderful evening and beautiful cards. And then I've got a comment on Facebook, love the cards, and thank you. So no, thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate your time. If you did make anything with these cards or this colour combination, feel free to tag me on social media. I love to see what you all make. So that's it from me. I will see you all same time next week, Monday at 8:30. Monday, what is it? It is the 18th next week. And then this week on Wednesday, if you are free in the morning, I am bringing back my weekly craft alongs. So in my weekly craft along, we're going to be making this card, and it is a gift card holder card, and I won't reveal the details inside, but do join me if you can. The replay will be on my YouTube channel afterwards. If you're not available at that time, feel free to pop back. I'll also be adding a free PDF that you can download as well. So that's it from me, guys. Have a lovely week. Thank you for joining. Look after yourself. Bye for now.